Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. I am so excited to bring you guys this DIY today. I have been having this one in my mind for a while, and I would love it if you would come along. So if you haven't subscribed already, please hit that subscribe button and tap the notification bell and all to be notified every single time I upload. If you love Dollar Tree DIYs and any DIY on a budget and farmhouse decor. Also, please give me a big thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. And with all that being said, let's jump right into it. Okay guys, so to start off, you want to take 4 canvases. You take all the staples out of the canvas after you take them out of the plastic. And I have this handy dandy little tool that I got from Walmart on clearance. I think it was like 50 cents. I can't remember, but it takes staples out really nicely. If you're using a knife or screwdriver, please be careful. It's pretty dangerous to do this without a special tool, but it can be done. Before I had that tool, I took it out with a screwdriver many times. Just be careful. Next, I take 4 large popsicle sticks from Dollar Tree, and I just cut them down the middle. They don't splinter too bad. They do splinter a bit, but as long as you just go very slowly, cut from one side halfway and then on the other side halfway, then they cut pretty nicely. Next, I just take my white and the Waverly chalk paint, and I give all 4 frames a nice coat of chalk paint all the way around, as well as the inside, because you definitely will see all sides from the outside of our project. Next, I just take a little sanding block and I just sand the edges of the large popsicle sticks we just cut, just so that way whenever we go to paint them and apply them onto our project, they're not too rough on the edges. Next, I just take my ink and the Waverly chalk paint and give those half of sticks a nice coat of ink in my Waverly chalk paint. You can use whatever paint you like. Next, I just take our roof pieces and give them a couple coats of the white Waverly chalk paint. I just paint both sides, let it dry, paint another coat. While that's drying, I take our frames and some E6000 and I just assemble the frame. I just run a bead of E6000 down one side and then a bead of hot glue and attach the other frame, and then I repeat that on the other side, and then I attach the last piece to both of the pieces on the end. That probably makes no sense, but you can see what I'm doing here. Before your hot glue dries, make sure that you turn it so you can see it and get it in position before you firmly press down so that it gets a nice hold. That way, when it's all put together, it's not crooked or wonky on one side. And I did want to mention too that you can use whatever paint you like, whatever color. It's totally your preference. Also, thank you to my subscriber who suggested that I put the last part on the top of this, the Weathervane. It really brings this project together, and we'll get to that in a bit, but I just wanted to say thank you for that idea because it's definitely a good one. So after we have it all put together, the frames put together I should say, I just take the inside cross pieces and glue them to the inside. And I just put a bead of hot glue on each end, lay one side down, corner to corner, and then do the same on the other side. Flip the whole thing around and do it again all the way around on all 4 sides. I did want to mention too, I forgot to explain how I made the roof tops. So I have this stencil, and I will show that in a minute. But I had this stencil, and it was like the perfect size for this project. So all I did was just stencil it on my piece of wood and then cut it out. Now, if you don't have this stencil, go right on the internet, print a barn roof off, and then use that as a template. I can also leave the measurements down below for you guys, and then your local hardware store will cut it. But you don't even need wood from a hardware store. All you need is like a puzzle game, or they have these little castles that you can buy to paint for your kids, and that would work as well, and you could cut that right with scissors. So I then go ahead and glue those roof pieces on. I figured out that I needed 10 more large popsicle sticks. I cut the ends off. I cut 2 of them in half, so you need 10 popsicle sticks and 2 halves, so 4 halves altogether, and 10 large ones with the ends cut off. I then just give them a really good coat of silver paint. It was really cold outside. Generally I would spray paint these, but it was cold out. I knew that it would take forever to dry, so I just painted them with acrylic paint. It was sterling silver, I believe, and I just let them dry really good before moving on to the next step. So after I cut my halves, I gave them a nice coat as well. So I then pull out NESW for northeast, southwest. I gave them a good coat of Waverly chalk paint. I believe I got those from Dollar Tree as well. A dowel rod from Dollar Tree. I measure how tall I wanted my Weathervane to be, and then I just cut the cross piece. So these are really easy to cut as well. Now here is where I'm showing you, my trial and error, as I always do. I tried to cut an arrow out of a popsicle stick, and it did not work. So I just took a piece of cardstock. I cut like the shape of an arrow out. Again, if you're not good at freehanding, just print one off and then cut it out. And I also forgot to mention that I did get a free printable and cut out a chicken, and I'll leave that free printable in the description box as well, wherever I got that from. So next I'm just assembling everything. I assemble my arrow, and this is just paper. I'm just using it as decoration, so it doesn't really matter to me. But if you want something more sturdier, you can use a placemat. I should have used a placemat, and I honestly didn't think of it until right now, but I can always change that in the future. So next, after I assembled the tail of the arrow and the tip, I then glued the middle part. And I have these skinny sticks from Walmart, and I thought that they would be good for the cross piece, the pieces that have the northeast, southwest. So I just go ahead and try to figure out where those are going to lay, and that way I can have it even, glued that together, and then I gave the dowel rods a good coat of white Waverly chalk paint, and the tip and the tail of the arrow a light coat of ink Waverly chalk paint. I then attach my cross pieces to my Weathervane, and then I just attach the letters to the ends of those pieces. After I get done with that, we're going to move on to the roof. Now, the roof, I should have cut the edges a bit differently, but in the end, you can't even really tell, so it's no big deal. But I then glue my chicken down. I just put one little tiny dab of hot glue right there in the middle, and then I glue my chicken down. You can also print off whatever animal you like. I saw a bunch of different weather vanes with deers and all kinds of different ones, so it's just your preference. So with the roof, I start at the top and I work my way down on one side. So I didn't even end up really needing all 10. I really only needed 8 and then a half piece on the end and then 2 half pieces up at the top, and you'll see what I'm talking about in just a second. So I just take my half piece on the end and I glue that. Instead of gluing it side by side, I glue the half piece kind of up on the top or on the bottom of the last popsicle stick. After I was done with that, I continued to the next side, repeating all those steps. So for the top, you can see that it has a gap, and I wanted it to have the peak of the roof anyway, so I kind of knew that this was going to happen. So I just took my half pieces and glued them to the top, side by side, and then I just took my silver acrylic paint and I give the edges a coat of paint. That way you couldn't really see the natural wood shining through. So for the next step, I'm going to galvanize the top. I go into more depth galvanizing in another video. I will link that in the cards to your right hand side up at the top. So if you want to click that link to go into more detail how to do this faux galvanizing. But I just took my elephant, dabbed it all over the roof, and then I go in with my white Waverly chalk paint. Not as much as the gray, just a bit, and that gives the illusion that it's galvanizing. I then just go in with some black ink in the Waverly chalk paint, and I just distress the edges. I dry brush it all over the inside and the outside edges, as well as the top of the peak of my barn. So after I did that, I had this little holly berry garland from Joann's, I believe, and I just made it into a little mini wreath. I am so sorry I can't talk, you guys. It's 1 in the morning and I'm exhausted. But I just take my mini wreath and I just use double-sided sticky tape and then attach the top weather vane. So this is what I came up with. Please let me know in the comments down below what you guys think. I am so pleased with it. I cannot wait to put it on my tree. I'm not a crazy person. I don't have my tree up, but this is my mini tree to show you guys how great this looks. Please give it a big thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe, tap the notification bell and all to be notified every single time I upload. And until next time, guys, bye.